Hello friends, Lee here from TableTop Bong. Welcome to the fourth installment in the Manifesting Basics series. If you've watched all 3 episodes up till now, congratulations, you are well on your way. In the last episode, we got really light and into all the positive energy and setting our course and really building our desire for the thing that we want or the life that we want by writing out what that perfect experience would be or what that perfect day would be. And that's a really beautiful thing to do. It's a fabulous thing to set your true course and to really dig into our own personal emotions to understand what it is we want to feel when we arrive there, because that's how we know that we've manifested the thing that we wanted. Because let's face it, by the time we actually get to the manifestation, because we have to move toward it, it's going to be a version of what it is that we're asking to manifest now. It's not going to be the exact thing, likely. It may be the exact thing, but it also may be a version. But the cool thing with that, when we receive a version of a manifestation, quite often, it's far better than we imagined in the first place. So that's why we program ourselves in our soul instead of using our conscious mind and our thoughts. That's the point of that exercise. We're programming our soul with emotions to let us know when we've arrived where we're going. Let me just have a little pull on this Solo 2. I was feeling a little bit nostalgic. I looked over at my vaporizer shelf and my Solo 2. It was almost like it winked at me and said, "Hey, you haven't used me in a little bit. I miss you, bud." So thought I'd grab it and stick it in the top of my TableTop Bong and natural cherry using the TableTop 5-arm tree perk in it. Thought we'll just sit back, have a bowl or two, and talk about this a little deeper. So now that we've done all of this, we know exactly where we want to go. Now, remember I asked you in the very beginning to understand that when we manifest, it's a balance. We have to give something to get something. And I asked you to check yourself and ask, what am I willing to give for this manifestation? Well, that's where this part is where that all comes into play now. Because how much you're willing to give for that manifestation is going to determine 2 things. 1, the speed in which you manifest, and 2, whether you manifest at all or not. Because you have to have a complete understanding of what manifesting means. If you're already doing it, you realize you're sending rockets to the universe with your emotions, positive or negative. When I say to you, you need to be 51% positive to achieve your goal, that's because you have to send more positive rockets into the universe than less than positive rockets. If you're in that balance, you're moving toward your manifestation. If you're sending more negative rockets, they knock down your positive rockets, and the only thing that gets through is the remaining negative rockets. And it works the same the other way. If you are 51%, you're going to knock 49% of those rockets down, and you're going to get a couple through. But it's going to take an awful lot of time if that's the approach. That's why getting closer to 80 or 90% in the positive is going to get you there much faster. But the trick is, how do we get there? And how do we do that with any accuracy, speed, and able to reproduce this same thing over and over and over when we manifest? Here's the good news. Everything we need to move forward in this next step is either already inside of us or it's on those pages that you wrote down about your perfect experience. Everything we need is contained in there. What we're going to do next is we're going to look at resistance. Okay, That's the number of less than positive rockets that we're sending out. So if we're vibrating, let's say, toward money because that's what we want to manifest, and we have a core belief that money is scarce, that's our resistance. How did we get that core belief? This is a really important thing, and I'm going to really skip over this kind of quickly. But please, if you're unsure, ask questions in the comments or watch this part again, okay? We end up with resistance from the programming of our childhood. From conception to 5 years old, our unconscious or subconscious mind gets programmed like a hard drive of a computer. It gets programmed by watching those influential people around us, our parents, grandparents, teachers. You know, if we're in preschool and we're around a bunch of other people, they are also going to impact us. We're gaining information. Now, the tricky part of the human experience or the human condition is we forget the vast majority of time we were being programmed. And I often wonder if that's not a spiritual thing of perfection, so that we have that to overcome in this lifetime. We have a roadmap. We know what doesn't feel good, so we know where to go. If we're programmed for things that feel good, we automatically move toward them and we don't have to think about it. If we're programmed with a lack of money because our parents had a lack of money and their parents had a lack of money and their parents had a lack of money, and that's just part of your family's DNA, for no better way of saying it, but if that's part of your family's DNA, it's likely part of your programming if you're manifesting money. Now, here's what we got. We have resistance and scarcity. We're sending rockets of that, and we're sending rockets of desire for money. If you're not sending 51% of your rockets of desire, you're not going to manifest. Not that. You'll manifest a scarcity of money. You'll manifest more bills. You won't manifest a windfall. But if you realize that's your path of resistance, and you're not afraid to take imperfect action and knocking that resistance down and moving past it, and that's the key. You're not going to fight it. You're just going to move past it. So you can do that a multitude of ways. There's literally hundreds of thousands of teachers out there. There's someone, a book, anything, any resource that you can find, even online, is going to show you, if you're searching the right things, how to move beyond these things. Find a spiritual teacher. If you need a spiritual teacher, find one. If you need an economics teacher, find one. Whatever it is you need, if you have no money right now because you're living in that scarcity and lack, there are free resources online. Start using them. Start reading books that you can read online for free. Find the teachers that will teach you how to align your vibration with the thing you want. You don't need to overcome. You just need a new focal point. And then you need to get your mind on that focal point and keep staying focused on it. Keep learning more about the topic. Keep talking to yourself about it. This is how we program ourselves. That chatter that goes on inside of our minds constantly is the sound of our programs from childhood. If we start saying a new story inside of our head, which we just wrote down that new story. If we start saying that story inside of our head and actively taking the steps to move past the things that are already in us, in our programming, that will cause us to resist our manifestation, as long as we continue to move in the direction that is toward, and accept that we have resistance and realize this is a journey. If we journey through the resistance, then we're in the space of manifesting. If we're not willing to move through the resistance, we are likely going to struggle to manifest the life of our dreams or the thing of our dreams, because we're sending off an awful lot of rockets to prevent those less rockets from hitting the destination. So understanding that resistance, it's there to make us journey through our own limitations to carry us into the space of manifesting from the soul. And I understand a lot of this is a really complicated concept, really, to understand that if we look at our parents and we look at the way they live their lives, we can see, often what we're going to feel. And unfortunately, we get upset with the people that programmed us for programming us with limitation. But I'm here to tell you, maybe there's another way to look at that. Perhaps those people who programmed you to be like them have suffered a lot of the same limitations and struggles that you go through with that programming. So if nothing else, you have a common ground where you can love and understand each other. If you break free of your programming, you also create a path for the person who programmed you to see that it's possible for change. You create a new possibility within someone else by changing yourself. That's a pretty beautiful thing. So I think it makes sense to check the resentment or the anger at the door and just leave it there. And, when you consider the people who programmed you, do it from a place of kindness and compassion, because they've suffered a lot of the same things that have really brought you to your knees at times. They taught you about those things in your early childhood, so they've clearly gone through them too. It's okay to realize that we're going to resist our manifestations. This is the human journey. But understanding that moving through resistance is part of manifesting. It's an absolute necessity. But the more times we do it, the less times we have to do it to manifest the things we want. It's just tough in the beginning. Once you get used to doing it, you can do it almost instantly or automatically upon desiring something. Your brain, after doing it enough times, knows the program. It knows to show you the resistance very quickly, and it shows you the path very quickly to move through it. And if you don't see any of those things, there's also something that happens that kind of just soothes you, and it lets you know what, then if that hasn't happened automatically right now, that manifestation isn't for right now, but it's good to notice, and it's good to start sending those rockets now, free of resistance, because you don't even know what the next detail is. As an example, it was 4 years ago, I had the notion of starting a YouTube channel, and it was only less than a year ago that I actually started the channel. But my manifestation began 4 years ago when I had the notion and realized what I wanted to do. I just couldn't see the entire thing yet. So instead of trying to force that, I just allowed myself to move toward it. I started learning more every day about vaporizers, and next thing you know, the TableTop Bong system was born. It was my invention, and I patented it along the way in that 4-year period of time. I gained an awful lot of information about vaporizers and the entire industry on a whole. I continue to learn and grow every day in what I'm doing. I had to get into some imperfect action, and I didn't realize that one thing was going to lead me to the next, but I had already sent my rockets for this YouTube channel. And then I invented this bong, and all of a sudden it became a natural thing. I could marry these two things together. And is my channel for the bong? Well, clearly not. My channel it's educational. I'm here to be in this with you guys and to be in a community. And if you like my bong and you want to look at that, that's cool. And if you don't, that's also cool. I'm not making advertisements for you. I'm trying to just bring some value to people who want it. So it all ends up coming together when you realize that there's a right time for things, and sometimes it's not the right time, and if you have to force it, then that's too much resistance. Let it go. The idea is to move past resistance, not to embrace it, not to spend a lot of time looking at it. When we see what the resistance is, then we have to look at the opposite. That's the very easiest way to know what to do. Okay, so I know I'm limited with a scarcity of money program in my mind from my childhood. Okay, well then I need to go to somebody who doesn't have scarcity, and I need them to teach me how to think and feel about that. Well, that's simply the opposite, because you want to feel like they do. They have the information you don't, so go and get that education. There's all kinds of free resources. So the only thing that will stop you is a core belief that you don't deserve to make that move, that you don't deserve to feel those things. And if that's the case, then you need to find a guru to teach you how to feel as though you deserve it. You need to look at your programming and ask yourself, which one of the influential people in my life didn't feel like they deserved anything positive? Where did that come from for them? And did they program that into me? And if so, okay, I can accept that that was programmed into me. I'm going to honor the fact that I share that thing in common with that person, but then I'm going to allow myself to move past it, because it's not me, it's just a program. Externalize it and move toward the thing that you want. Find the teacher. There's all kinds out there. I think I'm going to cut this episode off at this point in time. We're going to do one more episode after this just to wrap it all up. So just to recap this episode very, very quickly. We need to move through resistance. We don't fight resistance, we recognize it, we look at the opposite, and we move toward it. That's really the path through. We just stay on that path. We find the appropriate teachers, we find the appropriate community, whatever it is we need to find, and you know yourself. You have to ask yourself these questions. If you know yourself and you know on this particular topic, a support group is going to help, or getting involved in an organization is going to help. If you want to manifest really good health in your life, and moving your body has always been a problem and that's been programmed into you, then you need to find a support group and start small. Get involved in some water aerobics or something very simple. Get into imperfect action, start moving toward it. Surround yourself by people who are doing the same thing. Get into that energy. If you consider the programs from your childhood and you think about your parents, and money has been a problem, and you look at who they surrounded themselves with, all those people probably had a lack of money as well. We share time and energy with people with commonalities so that we feel normal within ourselves. If you want to elevate and change the level of money you have in your life, surround yourself with a group of people who have far more money than you do. It will change what you see as possibilities. It will change your vibration and your attraction point, and you will organically begin to bring more money into your own experience. And I can tell you that's the truth. I did that in my very own life. I consciously upgraded the people I was spending time with. As far as a financial decision was concerned, I wanted to be surrounded by people who had money instead of a lack of money. And I saw that there was a definite contrast in how I felt about myself and the opportunities I believed existed, simply from that shared energy in the community. So there's always ways to move through these things if we become creative and we look for them, but we have to know that we need to look for them first. You have the contrast on both sides now. You have the perfect story written out for you. You understand that you have resistance to that story. You understand where the resistance came from in your childhood programming. You also now understand that you can look at that. It's okay to honor it by realizing that somewhere along the way that programming helped somebody. It kept somebody safe. And then it became outdated and just passed along. So it's okay to release it by talking to yourself and taking action to do the opposite of the thing you're challenged with. So there's our recap. And we're going to tie every last part of it into a nice little bundle and put a bow on it in the next episode and conclude this series. But if you followed along this far, you are well on your way to an entirely different life experience and personal vibration. Because if nothing else, if you're not manifesting instantaneously the things of your desire, consider If you're in this state of imperfect action and always moving toward the thing that you want and understanding the clear direction and which way to go based on the resistance that you have, you don't have to spend really any time sending those negative rockets because you're so focused in the forward movement, the imperfect action toward the goal. If you're doing all of those things, we're almost at a point where the manifestation is irrelevant because the changes are already happening. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. Please, if you're not already subscribed, help me manifest more subscribers by clicking that button. Hit the like button and drop a comment, please. This is an open conversation. If you're feeling resistance and you don't know how to move through it, I bet you other people are too. Drop it in the comments and I'll break it down for you. I don't mind doing that whatsoever. And if it's in the comments, then it allows other people to read that and to apply that to their own circumstances and their own life, and we can all learn and share and grow together. Of course, that is part of my perfect situation, is that I'm in a community where we're growing, loving, and living in the light. So far, it's working out all right. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.